Now, the minority in Parliament say farmers are set to face a crisis during the next planting season if government does not settle its indebtedness to suppliers. Government currently owes suppliers of fertilizer and improved seedlings several millions of cedis. Deputy Ranking Member on the Food and Agriculture Committee, Dr. Godfrey Seidu-Jasau, says the suppliers are threatening to freeze supplies to farmers who desperately need them. He was speaking during the consideration of budget estimate for the Agric Ministry.
Mr. Speaker, as we speak, because of the challenges of arrears that the ministry is facing, non-availability of money, and therefore even the budget of 2.1 billion that is being allocated to the ministry now, almost 1 billion will be used to settle arrears if the money does come at all. Mr. Speaker, that is not a good impression for a ministry that we are supposed to rely on for production of the very food that we need to survive as a people. Mr. Speaker, even with this, if it comes, I don't know how the next production season is going to pan out. Because, Mr. Speaker, as we speaking to industry players, most suppliers of fertilizer and improved seeds that have been registered to supply these inputs for planting for food and jobs programs have threatened not to supply for the next production year because they have been owed money that they have not been paid. They have not been paid simply because the Ministry of Finance have not released money to the Ministry of Agriculture to be able to settle this indebtedness. Mr. Speaker, that said, it means that our farmers are likely not to have the adequate supply of these inputs that we so require to prosecute the next production season. Mr. Speaker, if seed suppliers and fertilizer suppliers pull out, that means that we are likely to have a deficit, a big deficit in production that is likely to spell out food insecurity for this country, and that might be a crisis and we have to look at it.
Dr. Godfrey Seidu-Jasau is Deputy Ranking Member on the Food and Agriculture Committee of Parliament. Let's head to Parliament now and speak to Parliamentary Affairs Correspondent Kweku Asante for details. Kweku, how did the Minister respond to these concerns from the MP?
So the Agric Minister, Dr. Owusu Akoto-Free, admits that his ministry has been facing some challenge in terms of getting the full complement of monies that have been approved by Parliament from the Finance Ministry. Indeed, it was the general overview of a number of ministers that the Finance Ministry were not able to raise enough revenue to be able to settle them in terms of all the arrears. But he said that this is a serious matter that the Finance Ministry was looking at releasing money as soon as practicable. He was then arguing that this is why the minority need to support tax measures like the VAT, the e-levy, so that government can raise enough revenue to pay these fertilizer supplies and seed suppliers off. This has been such a big challenge. We know that just in September, the seed suppliers released a statement that government was owing them about 207 million, and that if government did not pay, they were not going to supply seeds to farmers. The fertilizers suppliers are also making the same demand. So this is a big issue that Parliament says the ministers must deal with urgently.
Well, what else will be happening in Parliament today?
So just gone by, leaders of Parliament held a meeting that was organized by the Ministry for Parliamentary Affairs. They've been discussing the role of Parliament in the development of the country. They've been talking about how Parliament can or should be blamed for the current economic challenges. Both the minority and majority leaders agree that Parliament ought to do more to check government's borrowing so that the country is not plunged into a debt crisis like it's facing currently. So that meeting has just ended. When we go back to the chamber, what is going to happen is a number of the key ministries are going to present their budget estimates that the Ministry of Finance allocated to them. Is going to be debated before it is passed. Parliament is expected to go on break, Christmas break, tomorrow. It is tomorrow that we expect that the VAT rate increase bill will come, the e-levy amendment bill will also come, and so tomorrow could be a contentious one. We could see the scenes that we saw during the approval of the e-levy, but today some ministries are going to get their budget estimates approved.
All right, Kweku, thank you so much for joining us for those updates there. Now, let's go.